Hello, Bizarre Story friends. If you're listening right now, you're tuned in to the Bizarre AF, where we talk about the strange, the absurd, the unknown, all things Bizarre AF. I'm Alesha, your host for today's episode. And like always, we ask that you keep an open mind, keep a skeptical ear, but keep on listening to the facts as we take you on our newest journey, the 27 Club. Oh, hey, my co-host with the most a girl could ever ask for. How are you, Kevin? That was pretty abrupt. Yeah, I was like, holy shit. Okay, I guess I'm getting into this.
Oopsies.
How are you doing, Boost?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling it's been a little bit chillier here, so
you're looking a little rock and roll.
Little rock and roll. Yeah, I got my leather jacket on, ready to talk about some bizarre AF shit, and get a little funky today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So today I'm here to talk about a club that has a high cover charge, Kevin. How do you feel about paying, just a little bit to get into
I don't mind paying a little bit.
Oh, how much would you pay, like
to get into a hot club?
Yeah, hot club.
Maybe $50.
50?
Yeah. I mean,
that's
if it
the
was
most.
like super, no, like if it was like I could probably go as high as 100 or two if it was like, something really fancy, dancy, like one. And if it was once in a lifetime thing, maybe more.
Okay.
Maybe a little more.
A little bit more?
Yeah,
okay.
But probably not much more than that.
Okay. So I'm going to try to entice you.
Okay.
So if you could set the mood for me just a little bit.
Oh, my pleasure. Should we go into a bar?
Yeah, let's go into a bar. We're actually, this bar is filled with some of the most talented singers, musicians, artists, actors, models. We're talking Amy Winehouse, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Jean-Michel Basquiat. Yes. Sahara Davenport. Yeah. Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, the real creme de la creme.
I'm making my rounds through the club.
You can make your rounds. You can be around them, bumping shoulders in their midst. All you have to pay is your life.
Well, that's a little excessive.
Yeah, it's a little excessive.
I don't know would it be worth it?
I mean, we are in the cooler downtown area of our Bizarre AF world. And that's where it's located. And I thought that, we could maybe get down to the bottom of it, decide whether or not we wanted to be a part of it. I hate to break it to you, Kevin, but I don't think that we're able to get in. We're actually well past
we're not dead?
The ability to get.
Because we're not dead.
well, that among some other reasons. But
you know what I forgot to do though?
Yeah, what
Can
is
I
it?
do this really quick?
Yeah, do it.
Hold on, let me get this. Do this. Give myself
We're doing a little bit. Yeah, we're
adjustment.
A little adjustment.
So when you said all it was gonna cost was your life, I should have went.
yeah. Wait, let's try it again. Okay, so all it's going to cost you is your life.
Okay.
So this 27. There
we go. Sorry. All right, I got to get you back in your mood. Okay.
Okay. So, have you heard of this club that we're in?
No.
Or we're near.
This is bizarre.
It's pretty bizarre. Yeah, all those famous people have.
And how am I going to be at a party with all of those people at the same time?
Well, I mean, you could have been, but I think we're well past our prime age to
get
be
in
there. Yeah, unfortunately,
this is the problem.
That's the problem. That's really the problem.
And maybe the part that's bizarre.
It's part of the part that's bizarre for sure.
Okay.
And actually, this we can't become a part of it, but the 27 Club was actually initially coined in the 1970s. It was after some famous musicians had passed away at the age of 27. We're talking the years of 1969 to 1971. You may know some of the names.
Okay.
So these three happened like really, really short period of time from each other. We have Jimi Hendrix in 1970.
Okay.
Janis Joplin, 1970. Jim Morrison, 1970.
They
all
all
of
died
them
in 70. Okay.
in 70. They all died at the age of 27. So everyone.
So they were all 27 in 1970.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I think one of them was 1969. But yes, within that short period of time, it was really 1969 to 1971. There's a couple of other people that aren't as well known.
Okay.
But all of them died within those years. So
They were all 27 years old.
All 27 years old. Those are some big names.
Yeah.
And they're really ones that caused people to ask that question, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why 27?
Right.
Why is it that so many talented people, who really have a finger on the pulse of our culture, of the cultural phenomenon at that time, how could they pass at such a young age under somewhat mysterious circumstances? When that happens and something like this is occurring, it's kind of like where there is smoke, what is there?
Fire.
Yeah, fire. So, some years went by. The 27 Club was kind of, forgotten. And that's until April 5th, 1994, 24 years after the murmurings of this fateful club. Okay. It's Seattle, Washington. And the club has brought in its newest member, Kurt Cobain.
Oh. He was also 27?
Yeah.
What?
He was 27 years old. Uh-huh.
Okay.
So if you live under a rock, or hate music or, I don't know, chiefly listen to fucking polka or something, you probably don't know who Kurt Cobain is. So, Kevin, I know that you're none of those things. Can you tell us who Kurt Cobain?
Yes. He was part of Nirvana. And I have to tell you, I actually had kind of crushed on him a little bit because he actually looked like my first boyfriend that I really was serious about, like twinsies.
Oh my gosh, you had a hot first boyfriend. Jeez.
Yeah.
So he was the lead singer of Nirvana.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nirvana was ultimately, one of the biggest bands of the 1990s. And, we're really going to, can you hear that?
Oh my God, your leather's cracking.
It's totally cracking. That means it's good.
That's sexing.
Anyways, they were also the best selling. So they were selling out arenas and
I feel like they got popular very, very fast. It feels like I'm sure they were doing all of those little shitty gigs that all of those kind of grungy bands were doing, but seems like, once you heard them, like they took the hell off.
Yeah, they really took off. Smells Like Teen Spirit, like that whole album.
Yeah.
Nevermind, I think it was called.
That was big.
Fucking huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
So the grunge rock world, and namely Nirvana, they were all about the music, right? Like they're kind of punk, like screw the system. Let's make music that's honest and good and means something and pisses people off.
Yeah.
Anti-establishment people, which I fucking love.
Right.
But
like your coder.
Yes,
dude.
yes. Aaron Schwartz, the coder who was anti-establishment, like fuck the system.
Yeah.
We're going to try to screw people over. That's, those grunge bands, a lot of them were kind of like that. They, are anti-establishment punk rock, grunge rock, whatever. But still that idea is like, be true to the music, be true to who you are. And, they're not about making big wigs, massive amounts of money, right? Playing these stadium shows that, Nirvana's playing and selling for the masses. What is that called? It's fucking called selling out, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, do you really want to do that? No, that's the antithesis of grunge,
right.
What Kurt Cobain, stood for in his music.
Right.
So, I was saying it was like the biggest band in the world. It really was the biggest band in the world. And you find, Kurt dead at 27 years old. His mother, Wendy Friedenberg Cobain O'Connor, was actually quoted in the Aberdeen, Washington newspaper saying, "Now he's gone and joined that stupid club. I told him not to join that stupid club." So the world.
She knew about it. I mean, I guess in the rock, and I guess in the musicians world, you know about it. So do you think, oh my God, could you imagine? And if you're real famous and you're like, oh God, I'm gonna turn 27 next year.
You're like, fuck, is this me? What is this doom going to happen? Gonna befall me? Like the fucking Grim Reaper's gonna come on in, right? And especially when you have like such a talented person, you're like, how the hell this person's like on top of the world? How is it that you know he succumbs to this club? The world's really asking it to make sense. How do you make sense of it? How could a famous guy at the top of his game, professionally, die by suicide? Because every human can have problems. Right. Every human can have problems, but it's like the question is like, he got everything he wanted, right? So he had his fans, he had ridiculous album sales. He was performing all over the world, being able to do what he loves, and he's, gifted. How the hell does he die by suicide? It doesn't make sense. Do you remember hearing about Kurt Cobain's passing? I don't remember I guess I don't remember anything specific about it. I remember it happening and being completely shocked by it. Sure. But I don't remember any of the details. Yeah. About how it happened or any of that. Everyone was shocked. They literally were at the top of their game. Ultimately, I would be remiss to say that there are a lot of theories that go along with Kurt Cobain's death, but that's really not our topic at hand. Discussing that is not what we're talking about today. But I can tell you the facts of his death. So Kurt was actually at his home in Seattle, Washington on June 5th with a shotgun that was purchased by his friend because Kurt was nervous that the guns would be taken by authorities. So he was found dead April 8th, 3 days after he had killed himself, by a man that had an appointment to set up like security lights at his home. So the fucking biggest rock star in the world sitting alone dead in his house for 3 fucking days. So he was asking someone for firearms? He had asked a friend to purchase a gun for him. Mm-hmm. And he had guns in the past, but they had been removed from his home. I know hindsight's 2020 and it's easy to say things after the fact, but it seems like if you would have a famous friend, that famous musician, asking for firearms, wouldn't you be like, what? Yeah, what the fuck is going on? Although it's easy to say because when you have celebrities like that asking for things, you generally probably don't question them, right? Right. Like they're, you're talking about who's someone similar today? Like, I don't know, Harry Styles or something like that. Harry Styles is your, friend and you're having him, ask you to buy something. You're like, people don't say no. Yeah. You're like, cool. Like you're the fucking cool. Well, I don't know, Harry Styles. I don't know if that's irrelevant. But you have him sitting there, asking you to buy something. You're like, fuck yeah, of course I'll do that. Yeah. You're super cool. Ultimately, you have something that, it's seemingly, meaningless. Like, how is it that someone can die so suddenly and, just really be plucked away from this world? It's not meaningful. Doesn't seem meaningful. Maybe he was selected. People are talking about this 27 Club. Perhaps he was selected to become a member of it. Well, and that, in fact, is our topic today. And so that is interesting. So, I don't want to get you off the topic, but let me just say that you can make patterns out of anything. Mm-hmm. And kind of like the other thing, when you say celebrities always die in 3. Yeah, that's right. Well, but there's a lot of people in the world. Right. And 3 people that could probably die. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes. So, I guess it's really weird that they're all 27. That's a weird random. It seems like it's statistically significant, right? It does seem like it, but are we trying to just find a pattern in something that isn't really that pattern? I mean, that's a really good question. I think when something tragic like a death that happens to someone who's young and has the rest of their lives, they're on top of the world, they have the rest of their lives to really continue to make waves in the music world or the artistic world or in the world at large. It seems like it's such a tragic loss that people are really trying to make sense of it. And I think by saying that they're members of the 27 Club or saying that there is some kind of significance behind their death, I think it creates meaning. Yeah. Ultimately, right? Yes.
Right.
And
that's
the,
okay.
Yeah, which is okay. And the question is like, is there actually statistical significance? We'll get into that.
Okay. All right.
So ultimately, the 27 Club didn't really have any very well-known members that made waves until July 23rd, 2011. And the newest member was received. Amy Winehouse, yeah. She had actually voiced her concerns about becoming a member of the 27 Club.
Did she?
3 years earlier. Yeah.
That's what I was saying before. Like, if you're this famous musician and you're not yet 27 and you
She's
know
like,
about it, I would be petrified.
Yeah, and she was like, I really don't want to die. Like, those were some of her last words. Like, the last recorded words to her doctor was like, I don't want to die. And then she was found less than 24 hours later, dead. She was actually, she was found in her bed, unresponsive by her security guard, or her bodyguard that afternoon, like 3:00 in the afternoon. Amy Winehouse, soulful, eclectic. I don't know. How would you describe Amy?
Eclectic.
Yeah, eclectic.
Sure.
Soulful. She kind of brought jazz back.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's actually a retro pop kind of sound.
Yeah, I felt like she had a real old soul, right?
Yes, totally. That one really hurt me. I fucking loved Amy Winehouse. And I still actually she was in my top 5 artists that I've listened to on Spotify.
In your playback?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so for the year, she was all over the charts, as musically, but also in the tabloids, right? For her erratic behavior. So when people started to look at this 27 Club, they were really bringing up the idea of this statistical significance, right? All of these people are, 27 and they seem to be dying. They're at the height of their career. What the fuck is going on? We can look back, right? Because just like you were saying, people are looking back into time and saying, oh my gosh, look at all of these other people who have died at 27 years old and have been huge in the music arts scene. What the fuck is going on?
Right.
So there's actually a study done in 2011, December of 2011, right after Amy had died, right? She died in, July. So they did a study in 2011. It was actually published in the British Medical Journal by university academics. And they were trying to decide, what the fuck? Is this actually statistically significant? So they studied and looked at everyone who had died that was had number 1 hits on the top, or not number 1, but top 100 hits in the UK charts. And they found that there is really not a significant increase in death, in the risk for death for musicians at the age of 27. There's actually equally small increases at 27 at ages 25 and ages 32. So it's just as significant to die at 25 and 32.
So you could say the 25 Club or the 32 Club.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the 27, 35, 32 Club or 25, 32 Club, right? You can just add it all together.
Yeah.
So, it really noted that young adult musicians have a higher death rate than the general young adult population. They do. They are more susceptible to die earlier. So, ultimately, what they had discovered was that fame may increase the risk of death among musicians, but that this risk is not limited to age 27. So
sure,
it's not. It's that was their quote that they had. So ultimately, a 2014 article at The Conversation actually suggested the statistical evidence shows popular musicians are most likely to die at age 56.
Oh my God.
So it's a 2 point.
Because their livers are finally giving out on them.
Right. All the hard years of drinking and drug use, they're like, okay, now it's time for a stroke and death, right?
Exactly.
You have really run. And yet, people like Mick Jagger and fucking, Steven Tyler are still walking the earth. How the hell?
I don't know.
Anyway, so 56. So that's 2.2% more significant at 56% or 56 years old, compared to 1.3% more significant, statistically significant to die at 27. So really, maybe it should be the 56 Club, Studio 56, you know? Anyways, you know, death at 27, I think the reason why it keeps on coming up is death at 27 it's never due to natural causes, right?
Right.
Nobody's just going to be like, oh, I died in my sleep. Natural causes.
Right.
And so the list of 27 club members is long and it varies slightly. So some deaths have occurred due to cancer, like Jane Goody. This was a person, like a reality show star in the UK. But some of them are auto accidents and others like, you know, freak accidents, really, like Anton Yelchin from the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
Live long and prosper. Anyway, but the majority are really due to addiction and depression. That's why these people are dying at 27, right? Like you were saying, like we all have demons.
Yes. Right.
So, that was part of the problem. Remember that quote?
And it seems like the rich and the famous have way easier access to that.
Right, to drugs.
No one's going to say no.
Right.
Everyone will get what you need. And so fueling those demons
and you have the money.
is a little easier to do.
Yeah, it's way easier, right? It's easier because you have also you think about their schedules, right? So they're like performing at night and stuff. They don't really have like a normal fucking daytime schedule, daytime job. It's kind of like a seedier, you know, the music industry is a seedier like place, right?
It is, yeah. So you said, remember that quote?
Yeah, that Kurt Cobain's mom had said, right?
Yes.
So it was, now he's gone and joined that stupid club.
Yes.
I told him not to join that club. So people grasped onto this, hearing her say this in that article, and they were like, okay, Miss Wendy has a fucking smoking gun. She knows the truth. Yeah, she did. She did know the fucking truth because Kurt Cobain had 2 uncles who died of suicide as well. Her brothers died of suicide. So she wasn't talking about some kind of club that like only the famous and like, you know, sexy rock stars become members of.
She knew there was an ish.
Yeah, there's an ish that, you know, it's depression that runs rampant in her fucking family. That's what she was talking about. But people read into it as to being a different cause, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, ultimately when we're talking about these folks, like we think that the gifted, I mean really talented, few in a generation type folks who really change the culture, the way that we're moving, like we think that they're larger than life, right? They have something that we don't, you don't have, I don't have, like we don't possess these things, which causes us to think that they kind of have a better grasp on life and on the world at large, when really they're just as human as you or I.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So, you know, these talented people really have deep wounds, like you were saying, like, you know, baggage, you know, issues and that affect how they walk through life. And what does like big issues and stuff like that make? Really fucking good music.
Exactly. Right? That's right.
So like it gives you a different point of view, right?
That's right. That's right. And the other thing is that, like I said, everyone has demons. Rich and famous, it's more visible, right? You're living your life in front of everybody's face.
Right. You have no privacy, yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, I could have 12 family members going through the exact same thing, but it's just no one knows about it, and 3 of them could have died at 27.
Right.
Yeah, it's just that like you get this visibility around these poor people that have to deal with their human condition in front of everybody.
Everyone. And they don't have privacy and they have these crazy fucking schedules, you know. It's, right. I think that you know, it makes wonderful music and art, but it would really be a detriment to say that these people are just a phenomenon or a statistic of the 27 Club, right? They're normal human beings, right? Who have issues. You know, we were talking about those first 3 people who had joined the club where people are like, what the fuck?
Yes.
You know, Jimmy, Janice, and Jim. So, you know, do you know how
Sorry, that's another pattern. JJJ.
Oh my God, the J27 Club.
The Thry J.
They have different like
J.
triple J like triple threat. They have like specific insignias when they walk into the club. That's a big old J or something.
Right, exactly.
So, do you know how they died?
Let's see. Jimmy, Janice, no,
and Jim.
Maybe not.
So Jimmy,
I guess I just assumed it was all excess, but maybe not.
Right. Yeah. You assume because it's like the 1960s and like free love. Everyone's doing drugs and shit because, experimental, blah, blah, blah. So Jimi Hendrix, arguably one of the best, like most talented guitar players that has ever guitared, he actually was plagued with, we know him from that space, right? We know him as like such an amazing talent. People still talk about him. We still listen to him. He's still relevant today, and he had died in 1970. So that's fucking crazy. Anyway, we know about his guitar playing, but he was plagued by parental abuse. So he was incredibly abused as a child. He also had issues with alcohol and drugs, probably due to that. So he died from asphyxiation in the UK after taking a massive amount of barbiturates, actually like 9 times what he was supposed to have taken. Yeah. So, it's not like
terrible way to die. Asphyxiation?
Yes.
Ew.
Asphyxiation on his own vomit, ultimately. Like not glamorous, not hot, nothing cool or sexy or rock and roll about that. It's just, sad and fucking depressing. So, but people are like, oh, it's sexy. He's sexy. He's so talented. 27 Club. It's like, no, he had his demons that he couldn't, fight. Right. So then we have Janis Joplin, right? Absolute fucking powerhouse of a performer. Like you've heard her songs like Mercedes-Benz, like Piece of My Heart. Like she has such a crazy, awesome voice, right? She struggled with self-image and depression, and she died of a heroin overdose. And everyone's like sitting there, I was looking as I was like reading about these folks. I was like, oh, how did they die? And there's always like a caveat. Everyone always has a caveat like, well, how do you know if she actually died from a heroin overdose? She was holding on to the pack of cigarettes that she just bought. It's like, dude, she died of a fucking heroin overdose. Like, you don't, like, they're like, oh, her body should have been crumpled in a specific position. It's like, just.
Okay, so
it's
trying
like
to add.
A conspiracy, like,
okay, yeah,
I don't know, someone's trying to kill her. Same thing with Jimi Hendrix. It's like, no.
Right.
No, they died and people are just trying to make sense of it, right?
That's exactly right.
Same thing with,
and like you said before, and then it just so happens they're 27 years old. So that adds
to the mystique.
Some level of reasoning. It adds to purpose. It adds to, Yeah,
it gives you a reason as to why these things happen, not just like these massive like titans, musical titans like are really fucking, fragile human beings that, took too much shit.
Right.
So Jim Morrison, you look up his death today and it says heart failure, okay? Or a heart attack. That's what it says. Oh, he died of a heart attack or heart failure at 27. Bullshit.
Because of too much coke.
Right, exactly. That's one way to look at it, right? There was never an autopsy done. It was actually believed to have been a drug overdose that was kind of covered up at the time and called a heart attack. They never did an autopsy. They never did anything. They just laid him to rest in Paris.
That's weird, though.
I mean, once again, if you sit there, like especially at that time, like how even today we have like celebrities who are like, oh, they're just tired, or like they need some rest, and really rest is like fucking rehab.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, it's not so far removed from today.
But sorry, not to get us off topic.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
That's just proves, that's the other thing. If someone in my family died of a heart attack, unless they definitely knew that for some way, they would autopsy.
Right.
But because you're rich and famous, somehow you grease the palms or something, and you get to escape all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
you get to cover it up. Like same thing. Like, so Amy Winehouse, like her death was, she overdosed on, like she had like, she was a bulimic. So she had been sober for a period of time and then started drinking again, and really drinking was like her issue. But she had done heroin, she did everything.
God, I can't imagine.
It's awful. She was so talented, but she had all these fucking problems. And her grandmother died, which was like really a matriarch, really very important person in her family, and she never dealt with that, among other things. But she started drinking, and was drinking like fucking handles of vodka, and she weighed like maybe 100 pounds. Ugh, you know,
gosh.
So it's like she died of an alcohol overdose.
This is why these livers
I know
fail.
Yeah. So, and it's like her liver. Yeah, she was done. It was done. So she maybe if she would have been, you know, not bulimic, she could have survived, but her body was fucking weak, you know? Right. All of these people really struggled with addiction, fame, you know, stardom, and their own demons in their lives. So one thing that I really want to make apparent in this is that the 27 Club is not something to aspire to be a part of, right? No. Like we start out like there's no way that we could be a part of it, right?
Don't want to.
Yeah, we don't want to. It's not sexy or glamorous, no. Right? Like it's, you know, lonely and it lacks hope. And here's my soapbox, okay? If you or someone you know are going down that road, fucking talk to someone. Talk to anyone. You know, it's just not worth it. And you're certainly not alone. We'll actually have sources in our show notes wherever you're currently listening, and also on our website at The Bazaar AF, www.thebazaaraf.com. Good. So, yeah, that's the 27 Club.
Crazy.
Fuck it. We don't want to be a part of it.
So do you have, we'll need to put in the show notes a list of the names, because I think that would be fascinating.
So it's actually, it is in our show notes. It's in the Wikipedia article. If you scroll down, you can see everyone. And what's interesting is that, of course, once the 27 Club, you know, had been coined or deemed a club, then people started going back into history and saying, oh, this person died at 27. Oh, this person. It's like, okay, well, you're going back in time and fucking writing history ultimately. But
and then again, I hate to be the guy that's glass half empty, but you could make a 33 club and a 35 club and a 38 club.
50 fucking 4 or 52 club, apparently, right? Like that's our 56, whatever fucking age it is. It's like that's more statistically significant.
But if it, like you said, if it gives you some sort of a comfort as to a reason or whatever, then that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. But also know that these people were struggling with demons. And like, we all have fucking demons. We all have like shit that we are dealing with. And there is no reason to, you know, to drown ourselves, as although it might be fun and look glamorous initially, like there's no reason to go down that road.
Right.
There's help. And even if you can't afford, you know, help or whatever, like there are fucking 1-800 numbers. Like talk to a friend or, you know, I don't know.
They just did the new 811, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many, like, so some of the resources that we have. There are also Amy Winehouse Foundation. If you're located in the UK, they actually do a lot of work with young people who are struggling with addiction and depression. Young people in general, like in their 20s and stuff like that. So, you know, there are foundations, there are resources for help.
It's just so calm. It seems like it's way more. So that's the other thing. Like, why is mental health such a problem now?
I mean, dude, I go to therapy. I'm in therapy. I am a proud like therapy goer every other week. Shout out to Lisa. Hey, Lisa. You know, my therapist is awesome. I have someone that I can talk to that, you know, I think, you know, I'm pretty well adjusted, but I have some fucked up shit in my background. You know, I'm a fucked up person in general, but, you know, I'm trying to be better every day. And it's admitting that like none of us are perfect. We all have skeletons in our closet that you know, they're never going to leave, right? So how the fuck do you learn how to deal with them? And that's what therapy and talking to your friends and having a support system and figuring out a support system, that's why those things are so relevant. These people didn't have that, right? Because they wouldn't be like overdosing on fucking heroin if they did. Like if they had the resources or sought it out, you know, maybe they'd still be alive today.
Yeah.
And it's important. It shouldn't be a stigma. There should be no stigma. Of
course not.
Right? Like, hey, you want to talk to us? Go on our fucking website. Like, send a fucking message and be like, hey, fuck this shit. We'll send you a message back and be like, yeah, fuck this shit. You know, you're not alone. It's just, it's not worth it at all to feel like you know, don't have any other, you know, options in life, because there are other options, right? You've gone to therapy too, right?
I've never had a therapy session.
Shut up.
I haven't.
Oh my God, that could be like a fucking topic in the bizarre AF.
Yeah, okay. I blame it on preservatives.
Preservatives?
Yes.
What's
It's fucked people up over the last 100 years.
Oh, so that's why we need. Don't you think that like it's always been
Cancers,
a thing? Cancer. Yeah.
mental health. I mean, I think all of this fake shit that we've put into our bodies.
Oh my God, this is.
I blame it on preservatives.
This is a future topic. I definitely think it's a future topic. I do, and you know, I think that this is like, I'm happy that we talked about the 27 Club today because I do think it's very important. And maybe you don't need therapy necessarily, but maybe you know you have
need help
friends.
on some. Everyone needs. We are human beings.
We're human beings.
We are not meant to be alone, and we are meant to be together. And it's important to get help. If you need help, whatever it may be.
Yes. Absolutely.
And talking, as dumb as it seems, like just talking something out, it helps for some weird, dumb reason.
It totally feels like it's bullshit, but actually it's not. And like sometimes it takes like a little bit of the burden that you're feeling, that you're carrying along every single day. It takes a little bit of that off. And there's no reason.
And knowing someone knows you, knowing that someone is there to kind of guide you and support you and understand you and see you. Yeah, I mean, that's something.
It's definitely something.
Well, thanks. It's weird.
It's a weird
I will have to say
club,
it's
dude.
Weird.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. It's bizarre in so many aspects.
And I also wonder, did it become to be just because those three happened to start it? I mean, because that's when it started, right? Is when those three died.
I think that it was really because, you know, you have Jim Morrison of the Doors, like they were fucking huge, right?
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, fucking huge.
Right.
You know, Janis Joplin, huge, massive. These were massive stars, and they
so
all died.
Someone clicked them together and like, oh my God, they all three died. Hey, they're all 27.
They're all 27. Like, what is it? Maybe it has nothing to do with the massive amounts of fucking drugs everyone's doing at these festivals. It has everything to do with the fact that they're 27. Yeah. I mean, it's just trying to make sense of something that, you know, trying to make sense of this world, right?
That's what it is.
And there's nothing wrong with trying to figure that out, but ultimately all these people had fucking demons. Yeah. They're not perfect.
Right.
For sure. But they're cool. But like, you can be cool and also have demons.
Of course. Look at me.
I mean, exactly. We're in the presence of fucking Kevin right now.
Oh, man. Thank you for giving me an excuse to wear massive amounts of eyeliner.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know what? We could have done like smoky eyes, like really smoked out. I tried to make it like almost Amy, because Amy's my girl.
You do. I like the little wing on your eyeball.
I should have done it way more extreme.
You could have like boop.
Yes, I wanted to do that, but you know, TMI, we are going to be recording another podcast today, so I couldn't.
Well, that's the other thing. I'm gonna have to wash this off.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna have to remove it.
Not gonna apply
for the next one. Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks for the topic.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
Okay, you too, and we'll see you in the next episode.
On the flip side.
Okay,
bye.